hello. You'd think by now I wouldn't be getting caught out by the end of the intro, wouldn't you? Yeah, hello, welcome along to pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabble. I'm Martin, and I'm joined by Stu and Graeme. Stu, how are you?
I'm very well. Excited for the game?
Yes. I hate Hibs away. It's probably I hate it more than them away. Graeme, how you doing?
I'm all good. Looking forward to the game as well.
So it's at least 2 years are looking forward to the game. That's a positive. Jump straight in. In fact, before we jump straight in, for those of you watching, please do like and subscribe. Help share the podcast, etc., etc. And today, me and Mark will be back at halftime for a wee halftime kind of recap. We're going to try that out, see if it's popular. If it's popular, we shall keep it going. So hopefully you can join us at halftime. I don't listen to the pundits, hence why we do the pre-match build-up, post-match reaction. I'm not really that bothered, especially when it's people like James McFadden and Chris Sutton and stuff like that. So yeah, join us at halftime if you can. Straight in, Stu. We've seen the lineup: McLaughlin, Tav, Goldson, Sands, Barisic, Jack, Lundstrom, Lawrence, Matondo, Kent, and Cholak. Any real surprises?
No, not really. I thought the team would be pretty close to what we're going to start out in Eindhoven, but maybe Tillman could have had a shout, but no, I think Matondo needs minutes as well. So yeah, pretty happy with it.
It's one of the things he has to do, Graeme, isn't it? It's slightly rotate. Maybe we've discussed this. Does he need to change much at the start of the season, etc.? But Tillman on Tuesday kind of looked as if he was flagging a wee bit in the second half. Is that fair? Is that maybe why he'll maybe get 25 minutes, half an hour today?
Yeah, I think so. Like you just said, I think kind of what we expected. We wouldn't expect Davies to play 2 games in such short time frame. So Jack, I think, is perfect for this game to come in. Like you say, Tillman was definitely looking a wee bit tired. He's young, so he can definitely play the games, but the intensity of that game in midweek, I think, he wouldn't be used to. So I think he did look a bit tired. So if he's going to be a starter on Wednesday, I think he'll, like you say, maybe get 20 minutes today. All going well.
And obviously, Graeme, will come straight back to you. There was no doubt, was there, that Cholak was starting up front? Absolutely none.
I was one of the ones I'd have liked to have seen Morelos starting, but like everyone said, like last night, the phone in, etc., that you can't drop a man that's scoring 4 and 4. So I think hopefully Morelos gets all going good. We're winning. He can come on for like 20-25 minutes to get some minutes into his legs, and then he can help us in midweek as well. But I think Cholak deserves to continue his place.
Well, that is it, Stu. I mean, Cholak's been our only striker so far this season. Everybody else has been injured. He's scored 4 and 4. I don't buy that it could be 5 and 5 because I think one of his goals that he did get was maybe slightly offside. So he scored 4 and 4, and you can't take a striker out who's in form.
No, I think also with Cholak is the Scottish Premiership games he suits more than anyone because he is that penalty box striker. He's deadly. We've seen just how clinical he can be, which we've missed a lot in the last few seasons, just that clinicalness up top. So any ball that sort of ends up in the box, whether it's a second ball, pings about, Cholak is the guy I want there to smash it home. I want to see Morelos back up to full speed, fit and firing, but for me, he's more of a guy that is going to lead the line in those European games. Obviously, he's our main striker. He is going to get the time when he's fit, but right now, yeah, Cholak's the boy, and he's got to start, especially domestically.
Yeah, I genuinely don't have any arguments with that. David saying, hate these early kickoffs, always think it takes the team a bit to get going. Graeme, I hate these early kickoffs because I need to get up out of my bed at the weekend because I finally, after 17, 18 years, got a Monday to Friday job. So I like a wee extra lie-in on a Saturday and a Sunday. Do you buy into that, though? Early kickoffs kind of change the dynamic?
I'm the total. I just like being a Saturday kickoff because of my work. I work quite a lot of Sundays, so I miss the game. So any Saturday kickoff does me. But I don't mind the 12:30s. It's when it's the 12 o'clock kickoffs. I always feel there's a wee bit of kind of lag. But that extra half an hour must do something. But I think the players are used to it. They know what they're doing, and they train properly for it, and probably have their sleeping patterns set and stuff. So it doesn't really bother me, to be honest, mate.
And Well, just going back slightly, Stu, to what we were talking about, Nicholas is saying that Alfie is going to have to fight for his place now. Are we maybe getting a wee bit overexcited about Čolak? I know that I certainly am, and I've said a few things, and especially last night, I said a few things where people weren't too happy. I think it came across wrong. I will explain that possibly on Monday or whatever. But is this the first time that Alfie's really had a fight on his hands?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I get it because I was really excited before we even signed Čolak. That was based on him playing one game against us more than anything. But you can just see the qualities he has. You know, you don't need to see a guy week in, week out for a full season to know if he has it. Čolak has it, and that's like end of story of him. Morelos will definitely have a fight on his hands, and like you said, it's not something that he's maybe had before. Obviously, Roof has it. Like Roof is a quality player, but can't stay fit for 10 games in a row. Defoe was sort of in and out. He was more of a cover thing. So I think for the first time, Morelos does have to really step up if he wants to get in the first place and then keep that position. But I think you've seen in other areas of the team that only encourages people to do better. Like some people will wilt under that pressure, but some people will fight. And I think Morelos is the type of person that he's so determined that will make him want to be better. And I think, you know, we're going to have two quality strikers pushing each other all the way.
I just seen a comment there, and you know, it's something that I really should know, and I apologise. Somebody's asked, and I can't find it. Who's the referee today?
I can't say I know either. I'll try
Didn't even
and
look, to be honest.
No, I haven't looked at all. If anybody in the comments, I mean, obviously we are, you know, complete professionals. But if anybody in the comments has any idea who the referee is, it's probably something that we should know.
You'd think so. It's usually made a big deal of.
Yeah,
it's one thing I don't really pay attention to until kick off.
Until the game kicks off. Yeah. So if anybody in the comments can tell us who the referee is, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Quickly on Hibs, Stu, very quickly. Martin Boyle back for them. It's Willie Collum. There you go. Martin Boyle back for them, Stu. I don't care what anybody says, he's dangerous and he could quite clearly cause us some problems today.
Yeah, he's that pace is especially against us because of the way that we have such a high line. You know, we do get hurt by pacing behind at times. And Boyle plenty of times in the past has hurt us. So although I think Hibs is his level, I think he is someone we have to keep a close eye on today. I don't think the rest of that team is very good. So as long as we keep
famous last words.
I know, yeah, that is it. So everyone's going to absolutely slaughter me in the post match, aren't they? But I think as long as we keep Boyle quiet, it'll be happy days today.
Yeah, well, it's keeping Boyle quiet though, Graeme, because we've seen in the past he's always up for a game against Rangers, and Stu mentioned that there we play a high line versus, and I don't like to be negative. I'm just trying to point out where Hibs' strengths can come from, but Boyle likes a high line.
He does, and you just have to look at that dreadful semi-final at Hampden. Was that last year, 2 years ago? That he always performs against us. He always seems to get plenty of space, and he thrives off that. But like I was saying just before we came on, that I prefer him to the big boy Doidge, because I think if you look back at the Livingston game, we seem to struggle constantly with a big target man that can bully goals and that about. So I'd rather take our chances up against pace if the players are on their own form and concentrating rather than a fight against a big guy. So I think hopefully the players are on, and we've got pace and we've got people that work back in the wings that can double up on them if they have a better possession and stuff like that. So I think it should be no problem. So
do you think that's maybe the thinking between? Do you think that's maybe the thinking, Stu, for Matondo? Is that kind of tracking back cover, or is Matondo just purely in the team to get forward?
I think more to get forward. I mean, the ball tends to play on the right hand side for them, doesn't he? So what will Matondo be tracking back on the left unless he's playing on our left?
I suppose Kent. Do you know what's really underappreciated, Stu? Kent's defence.
It's Kent's tracking back. Yeah, he does, and he does do it a lot. And I think he does. He's had a few good battles with Boyle, so I think, you know, we're going to get that regardless out of Kent. Matondo, you know, he'll know what Gio wants. Gio wants that from both his wingers, really. But yeah, I think Matondo is mainly just to get at that defence. I hope Gio's looked at that sort of Hibs team seen what they lack at the back, and with it looking like it's Paul Hanlon left back, certainly looks like why we would go Matondo out there, because I think he could give him a torrid time.
Yeah. David, the left side of our defence gives me the fear in between Sands and Barisic is therefore a weak spot in our side. Graeme, is that fair? We've spoke so much about Sands. I've gave my opinion. I don't think he's done much wrong. I think he's been very, very capable. He's not a centre-back. I completely understand that. But is that a bit harsh on Sands? I understand the criticism of Borna, but Borna's started to play well, but you never know what Borna you're going to get. They will be up against Boyle, so it'll be a different challenge. But I'm not that worried about Sands in there.
I'm not worried at all, mate. I think with Sands, because he's quiet and he deals with things quite with ease and it looks comfortable, so he doesn't really get the praise I think he should. He's very good at reading the game. The amount of interceptions he gets is unreal. When you look at his stats, and then these stats that went up after the PSV game, you just had to look at that and kind of understand that. And then it just goes unnoticed, and I think that's why people don't think he's playing well or doing anything. But I understand what they're saying about Borna. If he's on form now, so hopefully he keeps that up today. But and against Hibs, apart from that semi-final, I don't really remember him at Easter Road having any much problems. So, and hopefully he's another good performance for him today.
Yeah, I was going to come on to Yilmaz and Barisic, Stu, but I'll bin that for 2 minutes. We'll come back to it. John, we have a new member. Thank you, John. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the Rabble community. If you would also like to join the Rabble community, the join button is below and also in the description. Memberships help us greatly, and of course, everybody knows my plans to start Rabble TV, and to do that, we need members. So thank you, John. And it's completely lost me my train of thought. Porteous, Stu, Ryan Porteous. Always a conversation in these games. I think he's a conversation in every Hibs game that he appears in, to be brutally honest with you. Not a fan. I don't know many Rangers supporters who are. I don't know many Scottish football fans who are a fan. But he's always a headline in these games.
Yeah, to be honest with Porteous, I'm even past that fact, past the point of him being the talented guy that just can't curb it. But I don't think he's that talented, to be honest. He's a big tackler. That's about it. I think he's someone who thinks he's good on the ball. He's not very good on the ball. Gives it away a lot in the games from what I've seen. But I think someone mentioned that Porteous will probably try and go through Matondo early. I can absolutely see something like that. But as long as Matondo, if that does happen, as long as he doesn't do a Diallo from last season and he just gets up and gets on with it, because plenty of times our pace will absolutely tear them apart. And I think Porteous is the type of guy that will throw challenges in regardless of whether he's on a yellow, in the box, doesn't matter. So getting that Porteous, I think, is actually a really good tactic for us.
Yeah, I don't rate Porteous as a decent centre-back, Graeme. I mean, look, he's decent. Obviously, he's playing at Hibs. Right? You've got to be okay or good if you play in the top league in Scotland, right? Sometimes we do with Scottish teams a disjustice. I don't even know what the word is. So he's a good Premiership centre-back, right? Like most. What worries me is we haven't really seen, Cholach wound up yet. People having a go at him. Porteous will do that. Porteous will try and get anybody he comes up against sent off, and he slows the game down. He disrupts everything. I just don't like him.
I totally agree, mate. I can't stand him, mate. His attitude off the pitch, that's what makes me even hate him worse. Like putting pictures up of him, players down on the ground injured because of him. The amount of tackles that could have easily ended a player's career is unacceptable, to be honest. And he's a lie. See, if you're a Hibs fan, he's a liability. The amount of times he gets sent off, loses his head, scores own goals. I don't know why they like him, to be honest. There's a boy in their bench that came through our youth academy, McClellan, and he's a far better player. Obviously, he's not been tested at this level, but if you just look at two players, I'd rather have him if I was a Hibs fan.
He's probably because it's probably thank God you're not. What would you be doing on here if you were? It's probably because he's one of the highest paid at the club. Let's be honest. William McLaughlin, thank you so much as well. It's another member. The members are shooting up all the time. We will be live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for our members. with our Sunday members content. The more members we get, the more members content that we get. Denzo, I'm not a famous Scottish author, right? So I don't know. I'm just a wee guy who was born in Fernhill, right? That's how am I supposed to know words? You know what I mean? Denzel also made the point, Stu, and I was going to come to you with this. Regardless of the Sands debate, I am more concerned that up to 10 million has been spent on two players who remain almost anonymous. No Davies in the squad. We'll touch on that in a minute. But Yilmaz on the bench again, and Barisic starts. How many times can we continue to say this isn't the game to give him minutes?
It isn't the game to give him minutes, unfortunately. I think with such an important game coming up on Wednesday, we cannot risk just chucking this guy in the hope that he's going to all of a sudden be the answer. Barisic has been absolutely fine the last two games. And I think it's actually a positive that even though we are spending big money on players, it doesn't mean they automatically get a spot in our team. I think he's still young. He's 21 years old. He's although it's a big outlay, I think he's still one eye on the future. And his time will come. I've got absolutely no doubt about that. But there's no point just chucking him into a game and absolutely hanging, especially like Hibs away, hang him out to dry. We drop points, then we go into the PSV game, and you've got, what do we do now? Do we set Barisic back in for the PSV game, or do we keep him? So I think right now it's Barisic's place, and Yilmaz has got to earn that place himself. So I'm absolutely fine with that point of it.
Cameron is saying, can I get a job if you start a TV company? Being a member won't hurt. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. I was looking for a wee kind of fly comeback for Denzel, but I think I've got him. I think I've absolutely got him. Good. Do we need to move away, Graeme, from this 4 million price tag, from the money that we're spending, etc., and just give these boys a chance to bed in? Or does the fact that, if Rangers spend 3, 4, 5 million on a player, kind of means they have to start, they have to come into the team?
It's a tough one to look at. That the Yilmaz stuff, I think he's probably not had a proper pre-season, so he's probably needing to get minutes when he can get them, so he's not ready to start. And I think, saying today also about a hostile environment, he's played in Turkey, so I think the boys used to, like, your Galatasarays and Fenerbahçes and that he's played against. So it's not that I've got a problem with. It's the more the Davies one and Suter one for me. That's we're buying players that are either injured or going to be injury prone, which that's my problem. I think, like Stu was saying there, Yilmaz will get his time, and I think in time he will probably become the first choice left back once he gets up to speed and proper fitness. But when you say about the signing players for 4 million and that, I think it shows their strength now. Like, the players are actually, the current players are standing up. Like, Bonus performing now, and hopefully that continues because it's only good for the club. And then obviously you've got Sands is performing, so you can't really just say Davies has to come straight in because they spent 4 million. But it's a good sign for the club. But it is, when you expect, when you sign people for that amount of money, you kind of expect them to be coming in to start. But obviously it's a squad game. Things basically decide that, other than just the price tag.
I'm just a wee boy for Campbelltown. Who knows more words? Somebody for Campbelltown or somebody for Fernhill? Yeah. Somebody from Campbelltown. Let's be brutally honest. Let's say welcome. Thank you for joining the rabble as well. That's 3 new members today. Phenomenal. Keep it coming, folks. It's greatly appreciated. David's saying, look, Yilmaz being a 5-year contract, bit early to hit the panic button. I don't think anybody's hitting the panic button, Stu. I think more than anything, we probably just want to see a new player play.
Yeah, I think everyone's keen to see him play. I mean, I'm the same. I'm really excited about him, so I really want to see what he can do. We haven't had much to go off. I know he's had a few minutes, but I just think competition for places is so healthy at the club, and that's what we've got right now. Said it before, Yilmaz will get that time, and I'm sure when he gets that time, he'll be excellent. We saw Barisic's first season where it looked like at one point we might just cut our losses on him early. So it's about bedding these players in at the right time. And it's a big overhaul this season. It is a rebuild. You know, we've signed a lot of players. It's getting them all in, gelling, everything else. And, you know, like someone said earlier, they're worried about Sands and Barisic, but realistically, you know, Sands is relatively new in that role in the centre-back position. So you're going to then stick another new guy out on the left with Boyle running at him all day. I just don't think it's that big of a deal that Yilmaz hasn't got into the team just yet, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also Rangers on tour saying, look, the amount of money the club has invested in sports science, the coaches will know when the players are up to the fitness levels required. Fitness levels required, Graeme, doesn't really explain why Davies isn't on the bench. Is that a worry?
It is a worry, but like I was saying to you just before we came on the line, that it could potentially, I don't think it is this, but I was just trying to think of other kind of reasons it could potentially have been told, you just stay back in Glasgow, get proper training, prepare yourself for Wednesday night, which I'd like to hope it's that so he's not injured, but I think it is more the case that he's picked up a wee knock and he's not available today, which, like we've all said, for kind of the beginning of the season, it's strange how we've not really heard much about his injury record or anything like that, and obviously he's not played a lot at Liverpool. I believe he was at Sheffield United on loan, and their fans were impressed by him, so he must have played, which is a wee bit of worry if he's came here and he's starting to pick up injuries.
A little bit more worrying, Stu, with Davies, simply because we're short in that area.
Yeah, it's. I'm not too sure with Davies, to be honest. I've not even seen the question asked to Gio, so you know, who knows? It might be like Graeme said. He just needs a bit of time to get ready. It might just be a little niggle, and it's not much, but we're just, you know, cotton wool for now because we are quite short at centre back. You know, either way, I think domestically King is fine as a backup. Sands has been pretty good for me, so again, not too big of a deal right now. But until we hear anything from the club, it's hard to say. But it will be a worry if, you know, there were obviously question marks over Suter, really talented guy, but you know, really injury prone.
Yeah.
That was maybe a deal worth doing because it was a free transfer, and see if he's got past the worst of it. With Ben Davies, it's quite a bit of money to spend on a player. Like, you know, if we go back to Hollander, was a bit of an outlay for the club as well. And I mean, Hollander's injury record has been ridiculous. So it's going to be a big worry if we've got Ben Davies and it's a similar situation. But I think right now I'm trying to stay a bit positive about it and just say, you know, he's going to come back soon and then he's going to get back in that squad.
Yeah, he's going to come back soon. Everything's going to be fine. But very good point. Yilmaz and Davies will need to get used to drinking the special coffee at Rangers before they do anything. Graeme, midfield, excuse me, of Jack and Lundstrom and Lawrence. What does that tell you about how Gio's shaping up the day?
It's one of the ones you can easily go for a 4-2-3-1 into a 4-3-3. With Lawrence maybe playing as like more at 8. But I think it will start as a 4-2-3-1. And I think Jack and Lundstrom are good together, especially in these kind of games. Like it'll be kind of fiery at the beginning. Jack, for me, once he's up to speed, I really like him. It's just the bit of midfielders we've got, it's quite hard to pick. Basically a 3 or a 2 to go in out every game. So, but Jack, for me, these games suit him, but it's kind of hard tackles, 50-50s and all that kind of stuff. So I'm quite happy to see Jack playing alongside Lundstrom.
No complaints, Stu, with Jack and obviously not Lundstrom, but Jack and Lundstrom in there together with Lawrence. Good midfield.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm not someone who, I think in certain games, if we're chasing, you know, we can afford to let the brakes off in terms of those two sitting, but I actually do think you need some control in the middle. So I don't mind that Jack and Lundstrom combination in the domestic games. I know some people do have a bit of a problem with it. The one thing I did realise, and it might just be because of the strength of the bench, but I haven't even realised we've got no Glenn Kamara. Was there any word on him, or is this because I've heard a few things about possibly the exit door, but yeah, no Kamara on the bench.
No, there's a few different things you can read into that. Right? If a slight knock, it could just be that the squad's that big that we now are leaving players of significant value out, or there's a move lined up, Graeme. Are you surprised? And do you know, Stu, you're 100% right. I didn't even notice. Are you surprised, Graeme, that Kamara's not even in the squad?
I must admit, I didn't notice either until Stu said.
We are so bad at this.
It was, to be honest, I think this is going to sound a wee bit harsh. I'm one of Kamara's biggest fans, but lately he's not been on the boil, so I don't know if he deserves to be on the bench if just going to his performances. And that might sound a wee bit harsh, but we've got a squad now, and it's going to, the people aren't kind of up to their, that's what's going to happen basically. So again, it shows the strength of our squad.
See, I'm looking at the bench, Stu, right, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a really strong bench. I mean, McGregor, Yilmaz, King, and then in the midfield you've got Davies, Arfield, Tillman, and then you've got Morelos right in fashion. Is it just the case that it's just a really strong bench and you had to pick somebody to miss out?
It could very well be, to be honest. As I say, you see a few rumours, and it could be anything. That, like I've heard the sort of Kamara possibly off, and we're still looking at a midfielder. But in saying that, I think looking at that bench, there's quality cover in almost every position. Maybe not a natural right back cover, but Arfield can play in the middle or as the 10. Even off the right, Tillman, we know what he can do. Wright and Fashion can both play off the wing, even up top, Morelos up top. So yeah, I actually think you're bang on there. I think it's just such a strong bench. Whether Kamara is off, whether that is the reason, I don't know. But I think he wouldn't have. I don't think he could have any complaints if it is that he's just missing out through sheer quality.
Stevens, Fleming, Graeme, you're the kind of tactics guru. He's saying like two holding midfielders for Hibs. Is it the case that because it's Jack and Lundstrom, it is two holding midfielders, or is that a kind of, I can't even think of the word, but does that midfield do different jobs? It's not just a case of there's going to be two sitting midfielders that whole game.
I think when Lundstrom plays alongside Jack,
Adaptability. There we go.
When Lundstrom played alongside somebody like Jack, who can sit, I think it allows Lundstrom to kind of make the kind of runs, and if he gets the ball, kind of go past players and stuff like that, which that's a good partnership I quite like. So, and it can easily go for a 4-2-3-1, which is going to be 4 attackers or to 3 attackers. So, in a 4-3-3. So, I don't think it's a defensive move, but I think you do need that wee bit of steel in the midfield, and I think that's why Jack and Lundstrom are playing today, because obviously Hibs away, they're always up for it. The fans always make it a hostile environment, so you need that somebody to win the tackles and get our fans going and get us on the front foot. So I don't see any problem with it.
Right, Nicholas, who is that outside, Martin? Right, this sunroom / extension is the only way to get out into the back. Right, so that is my family who've just came home from wherever they were, and now they've decided to make loads of noise and head out the back and do whatever they're doing out the back. Talking about aggression, Stu, and a willingness to win and dig, Tom Lawrence has all that. He's proved it. I'm actually quite excited to see him up against a team where there's going to be a bit of dig.
Yeah, we touched on earlier that Porteous is a bit of a wind-up merchant. I think him and Lawrence will have a few clashes today, to be honest. I really like Lawrence, exactly what you said there. Like, he's got steel, he's got dig, he's not afraid to chuck a challenge in. My only small fear, and it's not even with him, it's more with the standard of refereeing in our league, is that, some of the challenges, it can be a hard challenge, a fair challenge, but, some of the players will throw themselves to the floor, and against us, people like Colin and that, they won't hesitate to throw a card out straight away at him. But yeah, really excited to see what he can do. And I think we need that, because you don't want to get bullied in the middle of the pitch. You certainly don't, they're going to, I think someone said Hibs look like they line up 3-5-2. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if they are, then we're going to need that dig in the middle, and Lawrence absolutely gives us that, and not someone that's scared to throw an attacker when it's needed.
Welcome to the channel, Heather. Heather's obviously a big supporter of us on Twitter and stuff like that, so thank you for joining, Heather. And yes, that is a picture of Heather with her uncle, Robbie Williams, I think it is. No, she absolutely loves Robbie Williams. I don't want to say too much in case she decides not to be a member anymore. There you go. Graeme, Callum saying that Lawrence takes no shit. I completely agree. And it'll be interesting to see Porteous try and wind him up.
I hope it does try, because if we wind Porteous up, then I think he's as good as for a couple of bookings or a straight red card. So I hope that does happen. Lawrence, like I've said, through Derby, you've seen some of the kind of fights he's got into on the pitch and stuff like that. So I think he's got to be suited to this, and hopefully he thrives under it as well. And I could see maybe a nice wee long ranger today. My first goal scorer for me, I think.
Kent and Matondo, Stu. Kent's came under a wee bit of fire last night in the phone in. People saying he needs to do more. I'm still happy with Kent. I still think he's one of our best players. And Kent and Matondo up front gives us proper, real, what we haven't had for ages, pace.
Yeah, and I think, we said at the start of the season, I think Matondo is going to really help Kent up his own numbers, just purely because it's giving teams something to think about on both sides. Kent's output does need to be better in terms of assists and goals. I know overall his rate wasn't too bad last season, but I think he's capable of so much more. He has absolutely everything in his locker. That raw pace he has, mixed with there's not many players I find, and usually the ones that are at a top level, is that running at speed, but knowing exactly where they're going and what they're going to do with the ball. Most pacey wingers are just get to the byline and hit a poor cross. Kent is always one step ahead. So I think just having both of them is something I've been really excited about since we've signed Matondo, to be honest, to really see what they can both do on the same pitch as each other. And yeah, I think it's gonna frighten a lot of teams just having that sheer pace on either side. Whereas I think a lot of the time when teams attack us, they try and keep us over Tavernier's side because they know on the counter there's not going to be as much pace out on that right. But now I think we are such a dangerous team when we recycle the ball quickly and get up the pitch of it, that having those two is going to be absolutely huge.
It's great having the pace, Graeme. It's great having the trickery. But what we desperately need, and what we have desperately needed since the start of the season, is a final ball. We're not playing Morelos up front. You can't just fire the ball into Čolak. Čolak needs the right service, and Čolak has shown if you give him the ball in the box, he will score the goals. So yeah, I'm delighted that we've got Kent and Matondo up there with pace. And Matondo's already shown it. They need to get the service right into Čolak.
I've just got to say that if you look at Matondo, the last game at Ibrox there against St Johnstone, I liked what I seen there because it showed he took his time, he got his head up, and then made the right pass and we scored from it. So hopefully that's a sign things to come from him. And when I was thinking last night as well, a lot of our goals against Hibs at Easter Road have kind of been cutbacks. I can remember Arfield's one, Aribo scored a cut from a cutback as well. So I think if we can get into the positions, we can get cutbacks. We saw in midweek with Čolak, he can do a first-time finish from a cutback and score. So I think that could be like a typical Rangers goal going forward. So I'll be looking out for some of the kind of moves today.
Just before we finish up, Stu, I always like to try and touch on the bench because normally it's like half and half. Half the bench is strong, the other half is kind of made up of more youth players and stuff like that. That's probably the strongest bench I've seen for a long time.
Yeah. I like the difference in it as well. Like that we can completely change the dynamic of the game with certain substitutes. So, we know what Arfield can give us. He can come in and give us those late runs. Davies, he's that sort of metronome in midfield. Tillman can just change a game completely just with, now we know that jumping reach he's got, so he can offer another ball if we need that. Morelos is that sort of bulldozer up top. Fashion, I've always said, is a bit of an X factor. I don't think he knows what he's going to do after time. So it's not just exciting to have quality players on the bench, but it's exciting to have quality players that can do different things to the ones that are currently on the pitch as well. So yes, I'm actually it's really good to see.
It is, and it adds weight to the argument, Graeme, that there's nothing in the Kamara thing. It's just the fact that that bench is ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I think it is the squad depth and on form. Like I said, it sounds a wee bit harsh because he has been a key player, but he's not really. His last kind of maybe five displays, I can't say he's really been looked the old Glenn Kamara that we're used to. So if that's the way it's going to be, then I'm quite happy with that because it shows that people who are doing the business in training are going to get selected for the first 11 or on the bench, and people aren't kind of up to speed, then they'll be left out.
How are we expecting the game to go then, Stu? What are we thinking? Are we thinking Rangers start fast? Normally in these kind of games, especially in Edinburgh, if it's against either one of them, they're normally the ones that start fast and put us under pressure. So how do you think the game's going to
go? My fear is that we haven't really started that fast this season yet. I think maybe one game we were all right, but I think today is going to be that day where we do. I think Hibs are so yo-yo under Lee Johnson, and I think that's a bit of a career thing with him, that you can put his teams under pressure and you can get your awards. So I think early days, I think if you can get that spark that lifts the crowd early, then yeah, I think that sets the tone in the game for you to carry on. As long as we control the ball, we don't lose our heads early. I think an early goal would be perfect. But if it doesn't come, I think like recent games, the team will have the patience and hopefully control the game from the start.
Well, Ryan's asking, Graeme, who's creating today? Obviously, he's pointing out Jack and Lundstrom in the centre of the park, but who's creating today? Well, I think that's kind of self-explanatory, is it not? Lawrence, Kent, Tav, Matondo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And plus, Lundstrom's not too bad at putting kind of sharp balls into like your Lawrence if he finds space in between the top. Barisic as well. I think this is more like a Gerrard team, if that makes sense. Like we're going to hopefully rely on the wings, and they've got the cover. Like it would be like Kamara and Jack. They were kind of protecting the right and left back spaces when the two went forward. So and we created a lot of chances in that kind of system. So it can work. Players just have to start bright. As long as it's nothing like Livingston, our last away game in the league. That first half was dreadful. So a fast start and kind of camping their half. That's what I kind of look for every away game, and then I can get confident from that. Also, a nice few hard, fair tackles to get the tempo set. That's what I look for in every away game.
Do we have to take into account, Stu, that Hibs have made an atrocious start to the season? Apart from the fact of getting that last minute, draw against Hearts, and I watched that game and Hibs were poor. Do we have to take that into account here? And obviously, look, every game in the league Rangers should win. But you can have tricky games where there's some teams in the past you'd be going up to Easter Road and going, this is going to be difficult today. Should this be difficult today for us after the start they've made?
I think it will be a little difficult. I've talked about wanting to control the game, but at the end of the day, every team is going to raise their game when they play us. We're every team's cup final, and Hibs always go up a couple of levels, I find, against us. So I don't think you can take their start into account. I think for them, it's obviously not really a rivalry for us, but for them and their fans, I think it is a rivalry. And like Hearts, they'll be happy to sit in for 1-0, I think, for a long time and then try and, like they did against Hearts, nick something late on. As long as we've got over that hump of not being able to kill teams off, we'll be absolutely fine. But I also think Hibs are a team that, especially at home, their fans are going to, when they get the ball, their fans are going to want them to come out. They can't sit two banks of five like the other teams do against us. So I think teams like them and Hearts will come out and they will open a little space for us. It's just about us taking our moment. But yeah, to your point, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. Well, I hope it's a walk in the park, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park.
Not a walk in the park, Graeme, but we can't hide from the fact that Hibs have been atrocious. But
that's just what Scottish football is like for me. Like they've been atrocious, but the day they'll turn into prime Barcelona. I actually could make a pod on a rant for this, but it annoys me how teams just step up their game for, even against Celtic sometimes, like maybe your Hearts and whatever. But if the players just put in the same effort for every game, we'd maybe have a better quality of league. So that does my nothing. But I think as long as we start well, win our 50-50s in the second balls and get our play going, then I see no problem. We should get the chances and hopefully Cholak can grab a couple.
Criminal, it's away. It's at Easter Road. Hence why. That's the only time, excuse me, that another team's name will be put first in our headline of the pod. That's the only time they'll ever put. I don't even like putting their name first, but unfortunately, you've got to try and be kind of semi-professional. Right, Stu, prediction.
3-0 Rangers.
What's this?
I don't know. I'm just my back is killing me. To be honest, my back is killing me so much that I just have to keep moving to keep it from going stiff.
Come on, that's getting put on Twitter.
I know. I look like I was in one of those asylums for a second, then I just rocking back and forth. But yeah, I'm going 3-0 and Cholak first goal.
3-0 Cholak. Graeme.
I was going to go 3-0 as well. Tom Lawrence first goal and a Cholak double for me.
Right, there we go. I have looked at some of the predictions in the comments. I always look at them and then like halfway through the game, I go back and look again just to see if anybody's close. And then at full time before we do the reaction, I double check on them again. We'll be back at half time for a wee quick halftime recap. So hopefully you can join us then. And of course, we'll be back for post-match reaction as well. And if you're going out and you don't get to see any of the two and you're a member, then of course tomorrow night 8 p.m. we will have our members only show, which can topics from everything to everything. Honestly, it's just random Rangers topics all around. That's why it's for the members. So yeah, thank you, and we'll hopefully see you all at half time. I hope your team wins.